10 seconds.
First match begins here. This guy looked really like, he didn't look experienced the way his belt was tied and stuff, but he seemed really like kind of athletic. My dad was watching he was worried more than I was looking at this guy. He just seemed like someone that it was more my age, more athletic, but anyway, I knew I was going to pull guard from the start. I pull guard in all my matches, just using what long legs I have as my advantage. But yeah, I pull guard. I'm trying to put sort of a sideways angle on this, just so I can sort of set up maybe a pendulum or something, or an armbar. Anyway, he stands up and gives me both ankles, but he falls forward before I have time to sweep him backwards. And now we're just grip fighting in guard again. I do a good job of getting his arm across the centre line, tried shooting an armbar. But at this point I'd forgotten to put my hand on his shoulder and push his head down as I'm going for an armbar. After watching this back, I watched this back after it happened and I realised I needed to do that for later matches. But yeah, once I moved his arm across, I should definitely be pushing down on his head to when I shoot an armbar. Yeah, we're just still grip fighting in guard at the minute. Not a lot going on. I don't know why he's broke his own posture and sticking his head into me. He should be more set up like that. But I've got a good grip under his lapel, sort of by his neck, but he manages to break that by pushing on my sort of armpit areas. I do notice though that he's giving me a lot of room to sort of play with his arms. He's keeping them out right in front of me. But this is the first match and at this point I'm already exhausted. This guy was really strong. Anyway, I'm still trying to shoot arm bars. I'm doing an okay job at getting his arms across the sort of midline, but I just can't seem to get the finish because I forgot to put the hand on his shoulder. As you can see, I look tired already. But yeah, he goes to stand again. Doesn't grab a sleeve grip as he stands, which, whilst he's got my armpits, it's okay, but eventually I had to take his arm off and I just managed to sort of knock him down, get him back on the floor. Not a lot else happening, still just grip fighting. He's got a good grip behind my neck, but it's leaving his arm sort of open. But yeah, I could tell he was strong the way, like, he's doing a really good job at keeping his elbows sort of, keeping them tucked to his body. You can see there it's sort of against my hip, and he's just making sure he does not get it put across the midline. Still just grip fighting, again going for a good grip on his sort of collar. He goes to stand again. I've grabbed that one ankle just in case. But as he stands, I grabbed one ankle. I've still got the other on his sleeve. Got both ankles. And I try to shoot a sweep, but he falls forward instead of backwards again. Just closing the guard again, keeping his posture broken. I want to keep his head. He's doing it for me, to be honest. He's keeping his head pushed right against my chin, which is good for me, just keeping him down. He's going to have a hard time breaking out of my guard if he's sort of that close into me. It would be much more harder if he was sort of leaning back away from me, sort of keeping his posture up. Anyway, still just grip fighting. Again, going for my armpits. Anytime he seems to want to break out of my guard, he's just grabbing my armpits, which is kind of uncomfortable. I nearly sort of come up on I don't know if he was trying to go for a foot lock here, but he never really grabbed my foot. I tried to come up, but I didn't have the strength to do it. Anyway, he's just pushing me back down. Still just grip fighting. I'm thinking, alright, all I've got to do is just not get my guard pass and I'll at least sort of, I'd probably walk away with a decision. But I'm still looking for a sweep, looking for an armbar or something. Anyway, he breaks my guard here, but I establish sort of a knee shield before shooting my guard back. He then for some reason takes his arm out, giving me a triangle. I move my leg over and clamp. I didn't get the final clamp bit there that I should have, but he rolls for some reason. So I come up, get my 2 points for a sweep that the referee gives me, and I try to take the back here. But I'm too far forward, my head's too far past his, and he does a good job at pulling my head down. And I end up back, nearly inside control, but I manage to get my guard back and sort of shoot that right leg under him. Get it locked, make sure I've got that knee shield with the top leg. I'm able to close the guard again. That knee shield comes up quite a lot in all my matches. It's just very useful for me having long legs, sort of keep that knee, that shin against his hip, keeping him at distance. You can see there again. This time I clamped down with it on top of him as he was going around me to try roll him away so he couldn't get sort of round my other leg. At this point his gi's kind of flopping over his head, which was a bit annoying, but the referee does his best to move it. At this point I've looked over at the scoreboard, I realised I'm 2-0 up, and the time ends. So yeah, that's the first match. A good start to the day. This guy seemed like a really good opponent, but I'm glad to just get sort of a win on the board. I knew I had at least 3 matches to come. I wanted to conserve my energy more than anything, and it's nice to start with a win, especially when, you know, in the group stages, if you don't win all your matches, because it's such a big group with 22 people, there's a good chance you're not making it through to the sort of the finals. But there was a quarterfinal, a semi, and a final for this tournament, and you probably wouldn't make it through to the quarters if you didn't have all 4 wins, so it was nice to get the first one out of the way. As you can see by the way he's tying his belt, I don't know if he was just in a rush to sort of get over with, or if he's just a bit less experienced, but yeah, either way he was a really good opponent. This second guy was interesting. Again, same sort of thing, pull guard instantly. I tried shooting an armbar here, it doesn't come off. I've remembered now to sort of push his head away, so I'm going to use that at some point. But yeah, just keeping my guard closed. He tries to stand up while sort of giving me both his sleeves, which was a bit strange. He's too far forward for me to grab his ankles, but I still managed to sort of shoot through. Get the 3 seconds here, then roll out of it. He sort of grabs my foot, but I pull it out quickly, and I just take guard again. Referee, 2 points for my sweep, for sort of going up and getting on top of him, and 4 points for it being a mount for 3 seconds. Which I thought I was quite lucky to get the mount points, I didn't know if I was going to get them. But this early on into the match, being 6-0 up was very comfortable for me. Again, shooting another armbar, it's really helped putting my hand on his shoulder to put his head out the way. But he did a good job of putting his leg across my body, sort of keeping it out the way. But yeah, that was good defense from him. And anyway, I'm cool with him sort of coming up on top. I like playing guard, so it was just nice to sort of lay back, let him sit on top of me, make him make the mistakes. His coach at this point, I think, starts arguing with him, saying he should have got sweep points from when I sat in the armbar. I don't know if that's technically a sweep. I didn't think it was at this point. I think I'm asking the ref what did he get points for, but it didn't really matter. I swept him into a mount again, 2 points for a sweep, 4 points for mount. At this point I'm 12-2 up, so I look over at the scoreboard and I'm thinking, right, there it is, cheeky little look. I'm thinking I've got time, I've got points, all I need to do is sort of just let the match go on. The referee resets us, which is a bit weird because he resets us here, and we were sort of still, he was close to it in a triangle, to be honest. I had my leg over his shoulder, but then he just sort of, he tells me to tie my belt. And this was a lot of pressure here. He kept looking at his watch, and I noticed he was doing it. I've never had to try tie my belt so fast, but yeah. I'm thinking, oh, I've just got to get through this match. I'm already up on points. But yeah, he resets us from standing, which is a bit strange. I thought we would have gone back to the floor. I don't really know the rules on that. But anyway, as I said, my strategy was always just going to be pull guard whenever I'm standing. I don't want to risk getting injured on a big takedown, and I like playing guard anyway, it just works for me. Again, still just a bit of grip fighting. You can see I'm using my left hand to try pull his left hand all the way across my body. He tries to sort of lift my leg up from behind himself. If I'd shot a triangle there, I probably could have had that, but I sort of wasn't aware and I was a bit tired at this point. My fitness was really not what it should have been coming up to this, especially with the fact that there could have been 7 matches. You know, before I'd obviously got through to them. I should have been aware that there could be 7, and yeah, I should have definitely improved my fitness, but we move. Still just grip fighting. For some reason he's grabbed around the back of my neck to break, sort of like breaking his own posture. I don't really know what his idea was here. Stands up again. He hasn't got any on my sleeve, so I look for the ankles, but they're sort of too far back for me to grab. So I just pull him down, keep his posture broken, making sure I can sort of keep him towards the floor. If he stands up without me being able to grab his ankles, he's gonna get through my guard, so I'm wanting to sort of just keep him on the floor as much as I can. When he's got that knee, instead of letting him put his knee towards my sort of coccyx, I'm sort of just scooting my butt over to the side, allow him to get round, but he does break through my guard. He's not going to get past it though. I do a good job of sort of just getting it back. I shot a triangle, but he sort of rolled as I did it. Again, 2 more points for sweep. Referee's looking to see if I got the mount points, and I think I got given mount points for that. Yep, referee's giving me 4. But again, he's grabbed my foot here, and I really don't like ankle locks, but yeah, I managed to sort of push my leg all the way through, so instead of an ankle lock, he just grabbed my shin. The referee gives him 2 points again for sweeping, so I'm guessing if you come up from a foot lock, that counts as a sweep. But yeah, this bit was a bit strange. He sort of just fell in front of me, and I grabbed this weird... It's like I've got back hooks in, but I've got them the wrong way around. He does this roll and jumps straight into my guard, and the referee and his coach were both having a good laugh at this. I was too tired to know what was going on, and I really don't know why he jumped straight back into my guard after having got out, but yeah, it worked out for me. I've looked over at this point and sort of realised, right, not much time left. I'm looking at my dad because I'm thinking, why aren't you telling me what the time is? But he actually had been telling me what the time was. I just couldn't hear him. Anyway, that match ends. I've won on points 18-4. That's 2 wins by points. I would have liked to have gotten a submission during this, but yeah, it is what it is. Again, just tying my belt. And yeah, we slowly make it on to the next match. After this, I was very confident going into this next one. And from what I'd seen on the online sort of scores, this guy had lost, I think, both his 2 matches previously. One of them against the guy that I just beat. So I was very confident going into this match. Sort of tried to give him a dap up before it started, but he wasn't having it. Anyway, I'm just trying to lower my head, keep my head below his. Obviously, being quite tall for my weight class, it was important for me to sort of keep my head below their head level when I'm going for the sort of a pulling guard or takedowns. Anyway, I get my guard, I've got both his ankles, I try to shoot the sweep, try come up, but he does a good job of sort of framing me away and keeping me down. I'm unable to get the sweep points there. He's grabbing on my hips, trying to push me away. Manages to break my guard open, but I'm trying to get this knee back in. And once I get it under his armpit, it's very solid in there. I can sort of keep him at distance. I managed to close my guard again. Again, same sweep. If you're not grabbing my sleeve while you're standing up, I'm going to go for both ankles. But he does a really good job of framing me away, making sure I can't get on top in the mount. Again, this time I think he daps me up. Sort of. I wasn't thinking he was going to dap me up for it because he didn't at the start, so I sort of went for a sleeve and I was like, oh, right. But anyways, keep moving forward. He stands up again without any sleeve grips, I don't think. My hand's open there. I come all the way around to his far ankle with that one. Knock him over to the side. But again, I'm just not doing enough. I'm not fit enough to be sort of explosive and coming up on these sweeps. I could have had 3 different sweeps in this match so far, but I just didn't come up. But at least I know I've sort of got the technique to sweep him. I just need to sort of be a bit more athletic. Again, got both his ankles, got the hips. This time I shoot up, I try to do it properly. I jump all the way around to the back, and I'm just fighting to get that right leg. You can see I'm trying to shoot that right leg in there. Once I get that right leg in, I get my points. 4 for taking the back. I think he'd already given me my 2 sweep points, so at this I'm 6-0 up. I then lock a triangle after rolling out of the back, which was really good jiu-jitsu from me. I sort of knew I was losing the back and sort of prepared this in advance. I realise I'm starting to lose the triangle though. He's stood up well and he's sort of using his shin against my sort of legs to keep me out. But this was really nice. Instantly swap over to an omoplata. and I just don't know how to finish these properly. I'm trying to hold his hip down, but he does a really nice back step here. I think his coach shouted at him to do it, but this was really nice, and he nearly gets me in side control. But again, just getting that knee and that shin right in front of him. Doing my best sort of keep him away. Just be annoying really with my legs here. I look over at the scoreboard and the clock. I'm thinking, right, I'm up on points again. I'm up on time. Let's just not let him pass my guard here. Get back to close guard, and he resets us. Dap each other up, and instantly grip fighting. I want to get a high sort of grip so I can keep his posture broken. You can see he's leaning forward, struggling to stand up. And even if he does stand up while I've got this grip, see how much he's leaning forward? Makes it a lot easier for me to then shoot these sweeps. But I actually decided against going for the sweep. I didn't feel like he was going to break my guard, and I was happy to sort of just sit there for a little bit, see what he was going to do. I ended up sort of letting my guard go more than anything, because I feel that knee shield is in a good spot. Again, I'm sort of keeping that right knee in. That left knee in, and I've slithered my right knee sort of underneath, got the closed guard again. And I'm calm in this position. I'm thinking, right, I'm up on points. I don't think there's too much time to go, maybe 2 minutes. And I'm comfortable that he's not going to pass my guard, especially with the sort of knee shield I'm playing. Once I get that sort of left foot on top and I'm keeping that knee in against his hip. Again, same thing, just slithering that right leg underneath. Really good, especially with my long legs. It's just for how tall I am for the weight class. Doing a good job at sort of keeping him away. Got both his ankles, but again, I'm being lazy at this point. I should be trying to come up on these sweeps, but I'm just not. I'm sort of just doing it to sort of knock him over and then see what happens from there. I'm trying to pull his sleeve across, sort of get any kind of grip I can. And at this point, his coach is shouting at him, telling him, you need to pass guard, you need to go for it now. But having him tie his belt was nice. It was a 20-second break that not 20-second, but a good second break that I needed. Tells us we've got to start from open, which was fine with me. Just going for that grip straight away, get the knee shield in, slither the right leg under. You see I'm hooking that bottom leg because I see I've sort of keeping him apart, keeping his legs apart that is, and it's hard for him to pressure forward when both his legs are so wide. Anyway, I'm just trying to slither that right leg, that right knee sort of under where he's keeping his sort of elbow. Once I get it under, I would have been able to close the guard, but he swaps to the other side. Slide my right leg over, and I sort of just use it as a bar, a frame to keep him away from me. Same thing as the rest of the match. I'm using my knee, just keeping it against his hip, and we run out of time. I think his eyesight might have been bad. You can see him sort of squinting at the scoreboard there, so I'm not sure if he was looking at something else or he just couldn't see the scoreboard. But yeah, another good win. I'm going into the last match pretty confident. The guy that I'm about to come up against, I had just watched before this fight, and I'd watched him lose to an armbar, so I was pretty confident I'd be able to sort of use an armbar for the first time. Anyway, it starts, and this is where I get a bit panicky because he's pulled guard before I had the chance to. But I do a really good sort of sidestep here to get round his guard. So referee comes round to see that I've passed the guard, gives me my 3 points for passing the guard, 2 points for getting knee on belly, which was good for me. And I tried dropping side control, but he does what I did. He slithered his leg around to get the closed guard. I managed to open it straight away, and I'm sort of grabbing his knee sleeve, trying to undo his. I think he had a De La Riva hook, I think that's more of a single leg X. I'm not really sure the difference between the two. But yeah, I sort of shake my leg out, and now I'm just fighting for grips. I want to get rid of the grips he's got on my hand. I don't like that he's grabbed my sleeve. Because he's grabbed my sleeve, he sort of forgot about his legs, and I was able to just kind of step round, trying to just pressure my way past his knee. And you can see I'm pinning that bottom leg to the floor, or at least I was, while I was trying to pass. At this point, I'm sort of just grabbing him. I've had a little look at the scoreboard, and I know, right, look at my dad. I'm thinking, again, when I look at my dad, I'm thinking, why aren't you telling me I'm up on points? But he probably is, I'm just not hearing him. Anyway, at this point, I'm 5-0 up, and I'm thinking, you know what, I'll give you the 2 sweet points, if you let me stay on bottom, get you in sort of a guard position. And he's weirded out. Why aren't I coming on top? But yeah, he gets his sweep points here. But I'm much more comfortable being 5-2 but on the bottom instead of being 5-0 up on top. This is where I'm happy. I'm very comfortable playing sort of that bottom guard position. Referee tells him don't tie your belt, just sort of leave it how it is. Tells us we've got to start in close guard, dap each other up, and yeah, fight starts. Again, I straight away push his leg, arm across, if I can get it across that midline, and hand on the shoulder. There, it's cross, and I need to be putting the hand on the shoulder. I still haven't done this. That left hand, once I get his arm across, you can see I'm sort of passing his arm from my left hand to my right hand, trying to keep it across the centre line. Once I sort of push it across, I'm using my elbow as well to try like shimmy it across the sort of midline of my body. There. Shoot the armbar, he rolls, managed to come up on top and finish the armbar. I sort of pointed at him because the ref didn't instantly say it finished, and I was like, did you not see it? But all worked out, tie my belt properly. The only reason I bother tying my belt properly is because every time I don't, they always say, oh, you've got to tie your belt. So I'm thinking maybe it's a respect thing, you just tie your belt before it finishes. But yeah, good fight. This was the quarterfinal, so I didn't get a bye into the semis, even though I finished second in my group. The guy that finished top also had 4 wins, but he had more submissions, so I think he got the bye straight into the semis. And I had to do this quarterfinal. Again, I don't know why everyone's sort of breaking their own posture, leaning forward on me, grabbing my neck, especially when I'm so lanky. It means he really has to stretch out his body to sort of grab my head here. I'm trying to push him away with my legs and keep him stretched out. He stands up, but he's keeping his ankles at a good distance away. I can't sort of grab his ankles. But when you're keeping your ankles that far away, it becomes much easier for me to drop you to the floor, like that, what I've just done twice. I can sort of lift my hips up, push him down, and flatten him out. Again, just sort of grip fight, and he's still grabbing my armpits. Referee tells us don't move, sort of just scoots us round, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, just grabbing what I can here, trying to get some underhooks. I've sort of grabbed under with my right hand. You can see I'm trying to fight, but I just can't get under his armpit. He's doing a really good job with that elbow, sort of just getting in the way. I try for a cross collar there, just to sort of annoy him, see if I can push away at his neck and sort of maybe if I can get some distance. But anyway, I've found an armbar here. I shoot for it, and I actually finish it while he's standing. He taps out there. So yeah, I sort of knew something was coming the way that he kept his arms out sort of on my armpits. They were sort of just there for the taking. I was just waiting for the right moment, and then, yeah, good finish. And this puts me onto the semis. So in the semis, I'm against the person that got the bye in Group B, who also won all 4 of his matches, so I'm thinking, right, this is going to be difficult. Anyway, I pull guard straight away, if my dad doesn't film it. And as I pull guard, he sort of just falls into a leg lock, so that's sort of where we've started. I tried to come up thinking, oh, if I come up, I'll get the 2 points for the sweep. But I'm not able to come up here. Instead of grabbing his own hand, he should be grabbing his own sort of lapel. If he grabbed his own lapel, he really would have had a much tighter leg lock. But I was sort of able to get out of that, and I was just sort of grabbing my ankles and my shins. I'm sort of doing a good job here though, sort of just pushing away at his armpit. Pushing away where I can to try to create distance. And I want to get that right leg under his armpit so I can close my guard. You see I'm just pulling myself in, and I've got the close guard that I was looking for. At this point I'm really exhausted because I had not had much of a break between these last 2 matches. And I knew that I was going straight into a final if I'd won this immediately, because it was the next match on the sort of scorecard. So yeah, I was thinking, right, I could do with a finish in this one just so I can have a little break before that one starts. I'm sort of looking for it. You can see I'm trying to move his arm across. But this guy was sort of more aware of the arm bars, I felt. He was doing a much better job at keeping his elbows tight and not letting me push them across the midline. Now the referee gets in the way here, but he sort of falls into my posture. I sit on a loop choke, come up with it, and I lift up my toes. I'm just on my knees here trying to put as much weight as I can on his neck, and I do get the loop choke finish. Yeah, that was a really nice finish to get. It's a shame the referee sort of blocked the kind of setup to it. But yeah, that was a good match, and that guy was actually really cool. I spoke to him afterwards. But yeah, it was a good match. This one I'm looking at my dad like, what are you talking about? But he starts talking to the camera. And so, you know, you've got the coach's seat where that fella's sort of about to sit in his student coach's seat. I just normally have my dad sit in the coach's seat just so he can get a better view for recording. And some guy comes and sit in the coach's seat, so I've given him a bit of a bitchy death stare here. And he gets up, and then some other fella comes to sit down, and I'm like, can you not let my dad sit down, please? And my dad, being the typical British gentleman that he is, will not sit down. And I think this other guy had knee problems, to be fair to him, and he wanted to watch the final, so my dad was totally cool with just letting him sit down. Again, just trying to keep my head below his head height as I shoot for sort of a pulling guard. If I sort of pull guard while my head's above his, it means I've got a further distance to go, and it gives him a chance to sort of push my leg out the way. So it was really important that I keep my head below his head level. Again, I've got the closed guard. And this guy does a really good job of keeping his knees together, so even if I grab his ankles, I can't really do much. And he's shooting that knee between my legs. Manages to break my guard open, and he's pinning that leg down, but I get it out. And I'm just trying to sort of deal with that leg that's right in the middle of my two. I can sort of use my top leg to push him to the side, and then slither that bottom leg out. And then I thought I was back in closed guard, but then he just reverses it, goes to the other side. Just got to do the same thing. You can see me trying to get that leg, that bottom one, in between his sort of elbow and hip. That's where I want that leg to be, so I'm using my hand to lift up his grip. And you can see he sort of lets go at this point. I can shoot my sort of my leg, right up into his hip. And then he just jumps through again. This guy was really active. As soon as I thought I had closed guard every time, he seemed to be getting it on. I try a loop choke there, just because I got one in the last match, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe it'll work again, but no success. Again, just keeping that knee shield in, keeping a good grip on his collar, and he sits into an ankle lock, and I get worried at this point because it's quite good. But mentally, I'm going, I'm not tapping here, and it was hurting at this point. And I sort of push my leg through, and I'm trying to push away at him. And it's really important that I keep that grip I've got with my hand. I'm keeping him as close to me as possible. You can see I've used both. And I'm just trying to keep the distance between us short so he can't do as much damage to my ankle as possible. Now I'm sort of fighting that top leg. And at this point you'd think he's sort of got a good grip, but my ankle's kind of slipped out here. You can see it sort of jolts out there. And I'm aware it's not as tight anymore. He hasn't got as good a grip as he could have had if he'd sort of grabbed his own lapel. He was doing it with grabbing both hands instead of both. You always see all the fancy high belts doing sort of, I don't know what they're called, where they take the back when it's sort of laying behind them. I tried that bit, I've got no idea how to do it, so it doesn't work. I come up on top though, and I realise I get 2 points for this. It counts as a sweep, because he fell in sort of a ankle lock. So yeah, I'm 2-0 up at this point, but I don't like being on top. I'm doing my best to sort of grip fight. I sort of circle out of this lasso that he shoots, and I'm just trying to put my knee down, sort of shoot for an underhook there with my right hand, sort of get that under, but he's framed away at me and done this little spin, which worked out quite well for him. Back into the open guard, and he gets closed guard at me, and at this point I'm sort of a bit worried, but I was quite relieved to get the little break and just move back to the centre. And mentally here I'm thinking, right, I've moved before you, I've got more endurance. I'm thinking he's more tired than I am, and just looking at him there, he looks exhausted. So I'm thinking I've got more stamina than this guy at the minute. Let's sort of push a little bit. At this point, if he'd shot his left hand over my shoulder a bit more, he might have had the cross collar, but I got my chin down before he'd even gone for it. I was not too worried at this point, and I managed to get the grip off. At this point, I've grabbed the sleeve when I've stood up. You can see I've got my right hand, and then I pass it to the other side. And as I've stood up, it means he can't grab my ankle, so that's what all the other people should have been doing when they've stood up. I try to get the knee in there for a knee on belly, but I just can't get around. I make sure I get my shoulder in once he's closed the guard. It's either all way in or all way out. And I still manage to give up a triangle here, but I scoop my head out. And at this point I'm thinking, I don't want to be on top. And luckily he gives us another little break for me to tie my belt. But I am thinking I need to find a way to get into guard, get on bottom, because I'm not having any luck passing his guard, and I know the longer it goes on, the more risk I have of sort of being swept. But yeah, sort of grabbing his shin sleeves, doing the best I can, sort of spin him around, see if I can get any luck, sort of any openings. And he comes up, and I'm thinking, oh god, this is not good. And if I'd been a higher belt, I might have jumped into guard, but I can't in white belt, so I just accepted the sweep here, which probably wasn't good. I look at the scoreboard, and he's giving it 2-2 because he swept me. And I'm thinking, crap, this is not good. 2-2, only 26 seconds left. And I think because he's been on bottom more, he might win. There's no advantages in this tournament, so he might win on decision. I've got to do something in these next 26 seconds. At some point, my dad shouts at me saying, you've got 10 seconds left. I'm thinking, right, got to do something. Grab my sort of legs up high, move his arm across, hand on the shoulder, shoot the armbar. And at this point, his arm is really bent here. Like, his arm, that's a really tight armbar, and he's not tapped. I think he's looked over at the scoreboard and seen that it's only like 5 seconds left and just thought, well, I'll survive. But because of that submission attempt at the end, I think I win on decision. I thought I got a tap here, but he doesn't tap. And yeah, managed to win on decision.